Hello, my name is Randall Borden. I'm an attorney in both Virginia and Maryland outside the Washington, D.C. area, and I'm happy to bring these podcasts to you to help educate you on what's happening in the law and around the law. So the guest we have today is Mr. Kellum, and he is a lawyer in the Tidewater area. He has both an active law practice, lawyer coaching practice, and has written a few books, and then that's what we're going to be talking about today. So would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Randall. So yeah, as Randall said, I'm been a lawyer in the Virginia Tidewater area. I've been practicing for about 25 years. I started my own law firm in 2012 as a solo. We've now grown it to three offices across two states. We've got 13 attorneys, 10 practice areas. But I started my practice in 2012 specifically, one of the reasons at least, to be technologically forward thinking. So I was paperless and cloud based back then, which was pretty unusual. Always been a tech geek. I chaired the Virginia State Bar's Special Committee on Technology and the Future Practice of Law for many years. I speak a lot and do a lot of CLEs on AI, technology, firm management, marketing. I love the business of law even more than the practice of law. I still practice. I do high asset divorces personally and do most of my practice these days is cybersecurity data privacy. So sticking with that
Mhm.
computer theme. But yeah, and as Randall said, I started I've soft launched a coaching company that I'm happy to talk a little bit more about why I did it and what I hope to get out of it and help other lawyers with.
Okay. So what is the other state that you're in besides Virginia?
We have a Elizabeth City, North Carolina office.
Okay.
So northeast North Carolina.
And then so you would be in I guess, the eastern part,
Yes.
southeast
Yep.
Virginia and southeast or northeast North Carolina. That
Exactly.
general area. Okay. Yes, go ahead. And if you great, that'd be great to hear about your coaching practice. How did that start and how's it doing now?
Sure. Yeah. So, when I started the firm in 2012 as a solo, clearly I was still practicing a lot of law because you have to do that to make money. As we've grown, I found that I just enjoyed the business more. I've litigated for 25 years. It's not my passion anymore. I still do it. I'm still good at it. But if I had my druthers, I'd be just doing the business part of law or the cybersecurity stuff, which is more transactional. And I've been part of many different coaching groups where I've been part of group coaching or even we have a one-on-one business coach my firm does, my partner and I work with for the last couple of years. And I've just found I really enjoy those interactions. And so I said, look, I've been doing this now for 13 years. I think I'm pretty good at it. And I wanted to share sort of what I've learned because one of the things that is certainly the case, it's getting better now, but certainly when we went to law school, they didn't teach anything about how to run a law firm, right? You
Nothing.
learned how to practice law, maybe
Hmm.
theoretically,
Right.
and then business wise, forget it.
Hmm.
But that's changed. Like, so just yesterday, I had the honor, somebody asked me to present to the Suffolk Law School. They have an entire course on basically firm management, how to run a law firm, that
Oh,
kind of thing,
wow. Okay.
and they do case studies. And so
Uh,
two students interviewed me over the course of a couple of months about what we do at our law firm. And I walked them through KPIs and metrics and marketing and structure and people and the business of law. And they did a whole sort of case study on us, which I thought was really interesting. I got to participate in that yesterday. So doing that, I decided, hey, I really like to, because I have all the time in the world, I'm going to do a side gig and slowly develop a coaching program. So the company is called The Motivated Lawyer. So if you go to themotivatedlawyer.com, right now you can sign up. I do a free newsletter every Monday. And so
okay.
I talk about, so motivate's an acronym. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so motivate's an acronym, the motivated lawyer, to try to make it memorable. But I talk about everything from mindset to team to technology, organization, information, visibility, all the things that make up a successful law firm. And I put those sort of into that framework. And lawyers need more in one area than other area, depending on where you are. The newsletter that goes out every Monday morning at 7 a.m. I talk about one of those principles. I also talk about AI news of the week, like whatever happened in AI. And then I give one practical or more than one practical, but a practical session on AI use. We're very technologically forward. I'm very heavy into AI, both personally and at the law firm. We use it in a myriad of ways. And I really want to help other lawyers see the power of modern technology and especially AI now to really help them sort of supercharge their practice. That's the plan right now. I do what I've launched with. Again, this is soft launch, but I have a one-on-one coaching, 12 sessions with lawyers once a week, 1 hour sessions over 12 weeks to go through everything. I'm going to be launching a group coaching, which is really sort of more the broader appeal and more affordable, quite frankly, because the one-on-one coaching is expensive.
Right.
But the group coaching I'm going to do, which is a couple of calls a month to talk about the things, a space where people can trade information, ongoing support, information, that kind of thing. And eventually I'd like to broaden it to maybe have a yearly conference and do sort of a mastermind with a small group of law firms that we meet in person. So working out all those details. But I encourage everyone just to sign up for the newsletter. You'll find out
Mhm.
what's happening. Free information's good, but I just
Yeah.
really like it. That's what I'm passionate about these days.
So I use AI a lot, kind of asking a question, but then always follow up. Now, tell me the code section. You
Mhm.
know, why do you give me that answer? What's the source of that? And then I also use it to organize my pleadings. You know,
Yeah.
put it in an organized fashion, chronological, separate out the parties, make the sentences flow a little bit more smoothly. Make sure I've asked for all of the remedies that I would had described in the in the upper part of the pleadings. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I do some analysis of documents or take this document and incorporate it into that document, but I don't understand the AI agents. Can you explain that? Or how does that work?
Sure. Yeah. So we're not there yet, right? AI agents are on their way. Some people say it's going to be this year. Some people say maybe next year.
Okay.
But what AI, all AI, true agentic AI is the next step. So right now you have different AI tools that you can automate. So if you're familiar with Zapier or Make.com, which is just an automator. So these are third-party systems that, for instance, say, hey, my practice management solution, like let's say you use Clio, which is a really
Right.
popular one, right? We don't, but Clio.
Mhm.
You have Clio. Let's say that Clio doesn't integrate phone call like voicemails into your system matter by natively.
Mhm.
Well, you can use something like Zapier or Make to say, hey, whenever this thing gets triggered, I want you to take this voicemail and I want you to put it from this folder over in this folder, and it
Okay.
triggers. Well, you can do that with AI, where you can say, okay, when I do this in the background, it triggers something. Now the AI is going to do the next step.
All right.
And when I do this, now when this thing hits this folder, the AI is going to do the next step. And that's what exists today. AI agents are the next step. AI agents, essentially, you would say, let me give you the best example. I saw it on YouTube maybe 2 months ago, just to make it real simple. Somebody created an AI program to as a business, and the business was to take old pianos that people are giving away because
Right.
nobody wants to buy them,
Right.
and they say, hey, it's I have to hire somebody to come pick them up. So if you pay me $200, I'll come and pick up your piano. He had asked the AI to go to Facebook and find them where the value is zero, then have a conversation with the person through direct message. This is all the AI. And then once you have 10 possible leads, I want you to put that into a spreadsheet for me. And these are things that can happen now. But the AI agent, you can basically say, these are the parameters, go do it. The AI agent goes and gets the appropriate tools, monitors it. It does it automatically, so you don't have to interject and do every step. And that's the next level of sort of AI usage, and it's not far from being a reality.
How about feeding in 10,000 pages and asking it, tell me analyze the husband's bank accounts and tell me every situation where money is coming into his account from the outside that's not from his paycheck.
Yes, you could do that right now. And it just depends. So there's a million different AI systems out there,
Mhm.
right? So the one thing that I always tell people is, obviously, as lawyers, we know we have an ethical duty to maintain client confidences.
Right.
So just make sure that you're using a paid version of any AI and that you're
The,
taking
the,
reasonable steps.
the privacy switch is turned on. Yeah.
Correct, right. So
Do
both
not
pay
share.
for it and yeah,
Mhm.
and then do the privacy switches,
Right.
and you can figure
Right.
that out. The next step is make sure that so one of the big things that people are afraid of for legal research, for instance, is hallucinations.
Right.
So, and you've heard the stories, it started with the guy in New York a couple of years ago, and now it's, even Morgan and Morgan just got slapped a couple of months
Yeah, I
ago in
read
the
that.
western part of the state. So the bottom line is you always want to check your work. I don't know why people don't do that, but you need to
Mhm.
check your work. And also some of these AIs. So I use a tool called Calidus AI, we do at the firm, and it was generated by an old M&A, a former M&A attorney, and that AI program system. The way they've set it up. It's impossible for it to hallucinate cases. It's also impossible to hallucinate a holding. So if it tells you that this is the Smith v. Smith case, and it
Right.
tells you that the holding of that case is X, you know that they're both true. Now, what you don't know is if that's the right case for what you asked it to do,
Right.
because
Right.
it might have gotten it wrong. But that's just one level of sort of protection for you, right? So just don't go out to ChatGPT and think it's going to be right, because it might not be. That's not how it works. But then when we talk about feeding it documents, so we do that now, where we can feed thousands of pages of documents. Financial records are a good one. We do high asset divorces as well.
Right. Uh-huh.
And that's sort of business valuations, depositions, trying to find the hid money, trying to find things that don't make sense.
Follow the money. Yeah.
Follow the money.
Money.
We had, look for gambling sites. Hey, they're alleging that this person's gambling the money. Well, look for anything having to do with gambling.
Right.
It will really surprise you. Another good tool if you take a lot of depositions.
Not yet.
Yeah. So
I don't have that money.
Yeah. But for depositions, I mean, that's
Right.
there. That's another really good one. There's a popular court-reported aggregate service called Steno,
Oh,
Steno. They're a company out of the western part of the United States. They've moved nationally. They are in our market now. And what they do is they work with independent contractors for court reporters. They're really the hub. So everybody puts all their material into their system, and then it allows you to organize and all that sort of stuff. But the new thing they have is they call it Transcript Genius, which is their built-in AI. And you can basically, in essence, it's a labeling or sort of a whitelisting of AI tools
right.
to then analyze all your depositions. And so you can have conversations with it. You can ask it to put a timeline. You can evaluate in these AI tools. You can evaluate the strength of your argument. There's just really so much you can do. Matter of fact, it was funny I'm glad you were a little bit late to start this for us, because I was just testing. Virginia State Bar we have our version of the ABA Tech Show, the Virginia State Bar's Tech Show every year. It's virtual. It's $25.
Oh,
I encourage all Virginia lawyers. It's Monday.
That'll be coming next Monday. Oh, thank you.
This Monday. Yeah, this Monday. But it's all day. It's $25 for an all day of CLE, and so I'm presenting two topics. I'm doing one on how to evaluate tech products for law firms.
Okay.
And then the one that I was just recently on with a couple of judges and a tech expert is how to utilize technology at trial and appeals. And we were specifically talking about AI tools and how to integrate. And so this is stuff that I use, and you can tell I geek out about it. I just love the tech stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's good to know. Yeah. I used to go to that one in person. That was down in Richmond.
Yeah. And they COVID hit, they never went back. So it's been virtual now. Okay. And again, for $25, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, perfect.
Good stuff.
Okay. Like I said, I use it for telling me the information, but I always double check it. So I say, give me the site, and then I download that, and then that goes into my motions folder, which I print out and take to court with me. So I got it. I know that I got the case. Sure. It says what it says. So then I do that, and then can I use it like to analyze a questionnaire and say what information is missing, what gap is there in the person's life that we should really narrow in on?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so what I would say, Randall, on this too is it's make sure you're using the right tool. So make sure you have the right AI tool for the job, but also, prompting is so important. So one of the things that I teach when I'm teaching AI is the way to prompt engineer, right? The best way to get the results. And one way is simply the more information you give it. I use something, there's a guy, Dennis Kennedy, that teaches law and part of a law think tank. And he came up with the PCR. Basically, the bottom line is you tell the AI who you are, like what your role is. So in this case, it's like, hey, you are legal expert, and this is your job is to analyze the full context. You're basically, for instance, if you're trying to find a gap in the marriage thing, hey, you're a legal private investigator. You want to find any inconsistencies in information that are being given to you. And then you say, hey, this is the context. So what exactly, this is the context. This is what we're looking for. You want to be as specific as possible. And then the output, like, this is how I want you to give it to me. You just go through that iteration, then it gives it to you. And then if it's not quite what you want, you can actually, that's when you refine it. You can go, hey, that was a good start, but you know what? I really want you I want it in this output format, or I want you to put it in a chart format. And it just allows you to keep iterating until you find sort of the most valuable parts you can. But it really allows you, and like you said, you get there and then you verify it, but it allows you to go through a large amount of data quickly. Right. So it'll speed up your process, and sometimes it's good at being creative. So I use a couple of different AI tools to write content. So not legal, but it could be a legal blog, but it's just writing. It's copy. My newsletter, my newsletter every Monday that I send out, I give it the guts of what I want, and then it will then find it for me. So for instance, one of the tools I use, so my newsletter, basically I do 4 or 5 updates from AI on the week, and it's a title, the link to the article, and then 4 bullet points about whatever the update is. These AI tools that I have, I can go to a website that has a news article. I hit a button, it grabs the information, it turns it into that format, And then all I have to do is cut and paste that into my newsletter. So I don't even have to read. I mean, I do read the article because I want to make sure it says what it says,
Right.
but I don't have to summarize it. I don't have to reformat it. I literally grab, put, done.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that at every stage of our law firm. I have a marketing department. My marketing person works on that. Graphics now, ChatGPT's new graphic interface has done a really good job. So everything from graphics to text. And then on the law side, we do the legal research. We do document comparison. It's really good. So Calidus has a really good tool where you can take two contracts and compare. So what we do is we have our stock property settlement agreement for a divorce. And when I get one from opposing counsel who's drafted their own, or I have a client that brings in one, I just simply feed it into the one and it tells me where my boilerplate is missing or where my language might be better. And now my paralegal doesn't have to take 4 hours doing it.
When you get discovery from the other side and you go, wow, that's a good one. I want to use that one. Tell
100%.
me everything that's not in mine and then put it in mine. Yeah.
AI wants to please you. It wants to accomplish whatever goal you're giving it. So the better you are at telling it what you're looking for, the better results you're going to get.
And then as far as your again, it just occurred to me on your coaching program.
Sure.
Are you working from like lawyer at level 7 to bring the lawyer to level, from 100,000 a year to $1 million a year? I mean, that's the kind of YouTube promotions that I hear a lot.
Sure. So actually, one of the no, I mean, and look, that's in some are, don't guarantee, and I've been part of many coaching groups, right? And most of them are how to make more money and how to grow.
Right.
And both, which are fine. And by the way, that's our goal. Like we're in growth mode, and that's, we're building a legal empire. That's great. But one of the reasons I started my coaching group is I wanted to basically so when we start motivate all the different factors, the only one that you have to start with is M, right? Which is mindset. And the mindset, I ask people 3 questions, and this is important sort of in the context of how I'm helping people is the overall general question is, why are you doing what you're doing? Like, why are you lawyering? Do you want to be the best scholar in your area? Are you doing it just to make money, which is not a bad idea? What's the reasoning? And then much more practically, it's, do you enjoy practicing law? Do you enjoy the business of law, or both? No wrong answer. But if you just, like a lot of us lawyers just love, not me anymore, but just love practicing law. They have a law firm because they weren't happy where they are, but they don't enjoy the business of it. That's okay. But now you just have to go hire people to run the firm. On the other end, if you really have found you love the business of law, but don't like litigating anymore, easy, go hire lawyers to litigate for you. No problem. And then the last question is, and this is the really the secret sauce, I think, is, what's your goal? Like, is your goal to build a big firm? Is your goal to have a bunch of people working for you? Or is your goal to have what we call a lifestyle firm? You want to make $150,000 a year and try to work 20, 30 hours a week, or work 6 months out of the year, or whatever. No problem. So I want to start there, because then I want to help you achieve those goals. And if you want to build an empire, the way to do that is the fundamentals are somewhat the same, but where you're putting your time, money, and attention is going to be very different if you're just trying to be a lifestyle attorney or have a smaller firm. So what I want to do is I want to meet my people where they are. And a lot of times my conversations with them are to help them identify a goal. They don't have a goal. I didn't. When I started in 2012, I wanted to be a good lawyer. I wanted to make money, and I wanted to have my own thing. I didn't have any concept of what this thing would look like. I didn't know how to run a firm, and that's great. And by the way, you can make plenty of money doing that, but that's the hard way to do it, right? Working 70 hours a week.
Atticus Finch rolling around in your head there.
No, right, exactly right. So to answer your question is, I help lawyers. Like I'm working with some lawyers that are just launched. They're young and they just launched their firm. I've got one lawyer I'm working with up in Massachusetts. It's their second career, and so she just launched her firm. But it's, she's at a place where her life where it doesn't have to be their family's breadwinner, but she obviously wants to make money and be successful, but she has different goals. And then I work with firms that have a bunch of people and they want to go from 2 million to 5 million, or they just want to figure out marketing better, or they want to integrate AI. I want to meet them where they are, and sort of how I can help them depends. And that's why I didn't make it all about tech, because there's some lawyers that just aren't interested in it. And I think it's a mistake, but I'm certainly not going to lecture them on how to live their life. Right. It's a factor. It's an important factor, but all these other things. I just did a CLE last week to the American Bar Association on KPIs and metrics about these are the 5 areas you have to know your numbers, and here's how you run your numbers, and here's how all of this stuff about how to run a law firm like a business is sort of what I'm living in right now.
Is there a way that AI is going to run the business, and you just sort of, say, okay, send out the bills, or, draft a will, or a codicil, you have the
Yeah.
database of your old clients.
If you said that 5 years ago, my answer would be, boy, that'd be nice. But,
Right.
we're not the Jetsons, I got
Mhm.
to tell you, yes, that's the future. When that's going to happen, I don't know. I mean, right now,
Mhm.
AI can do a real, so again, I'm using Calidus. There's other programs, but Calidus just comes to mind because we use it a lot. So give you an example of how Calidus can do this. You feed it, you can just, if you're litigating, you can feed it a fact pattern. And then it basically, one of the big features of Calidus is it wants to be sort of your AI assistant.
Yeah.
So you feed it a fact pattern and then it asks you some questions, you answer those, and then it says, okay, this is the case, you tell it what jurisdiction, whatever, and this says, hey, here's the causes of action that may be applicable. Which ones do you think are good? You check those. Then it says, okay, here's some of the questions to ask, or here's some case law, fine, you check those.
Right.
And it just guides you along. And at the very end of it, it says, okay, what do you want? Do you want a lawsuit? Do you want a memo? Do you want an opinion letter to the client?
Mhm.
And even, do you want an appellate brief? And it will take all of that, make the brief, draft it like you're supposed to draft it, organize it, and you're ready to go. So it's not quite at the level of go do it for me, but it's pretty close. And it gets you about 80% there. And to us, what it does is it lets our younger attorneys not waste 4 hours going down a rabbit hole that has nothing to do with anything.
Mhm.
Because, we all did that, but they still have to learn. Like, so I'll use it. I don't have to go read everything because I know what I'm looking at. They have to go read it, no problem. But it doesn't waste their time. It doesn't waste our time. And like I said, it gets us 80% there so much faster. And it saves us time, which saves our clients money, which is a win-win.
It's not there yet that, I mean, like an estates and trust practice where, the person comes in, you meet them, put the information in, keeps track of the birth dates of the beneficiaries of the grandchildren. So when they age out in the trust, you can notify them or remind you to send them a third of the trust. Congratulates everyone on their birthdays. Keeps up with changes in the tax law. Hey, you may want to consider coming in and modifying your trust because of this, that. Sorry to hear we heard about your divorce in the newspaper because it was horrible and spectacular.
Right.
You may want to consider rewriting your will. That's not quite there yet.
It's not quite there yet, but I mean, AI systems are there now, and these are the specialty systems, right? This is not ChatGPT, but there are systems out there where you could have the client fill out the questionnaire to put all the information. Then that gets fed into the system, and it then drafts you if you're in Virginia compliant trust,
Right.
looking at the most recent tax law and Virginia laws,
Mhm.
using the gold standard that you've provided to it that you want it to use. You easily could automate tasking system to let you know when birth dates are and to send out the email. So that's where the agents come into play, is eventually it's just going to do it, and faster, better than we can. We're not there yet. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be there in the next year or two, but the ability to do routine drafting, detail-oriented contract reviews, wills, trusts, estates work, that kind of stuff is 100% doable now.
Mhm.
And it doesn't get tired, and it doesn't need
Right.
vacations.
Yeah.
And it never spells anything wrong. It's never going to accidentally put the wrong kid's name on a
Mhm.
divorce because they were
Uh-huh.
sloppy. Lawyers aren't good with tech, most of them. But the other thing is, you've got to spend the time, which most lawyers feel like they don't have, to get there. So you have to have the gold standard and train the system and set up the parameters. Let's say it takes you 100 hours to do that. I don't have 100 hours. Okay. But once you get it set up and you're charging flat fee work, and Virginia has a proposed yeah, they have the proposed ethical rule that I'm pretty sure is going to pass, which says you absolutely can charge for efficiency as long as it's not hourly. So if you flat fee, and a trust normally costs $5,000 and it normally takes you 10 hours to do, but now it takes you an hour to do, you can still charge the client 5,000 because you spent 100 hours training the AI, but then you multiply that, and that 100 hours has now saved you 10,000 hours over the course of your career. It takes the 100 hours. It
Right.
takes the knowledge. And again, we're not as a whole known for our technological prowess.
Right. Right.
For sure.
And then what do you see the practice of law evolving into? I mean, like right now, I do a lot of divorce work and family law, and the major roadblock is I can't file electronically. Some court, Fairfax, I can, other courts I cannot. So print it out, take it down to the courthouse, hand it over, stamp it, or mail it and hope, trust the post office. So that's kind of the hindrance right now. Is any chance that's going to happen in Virginia? The practice Maryland too, and it's everywhere in Maryland.
Yeah, actually that's an interesting point. So when I was chairing the Virginia State Bar's committee, one of the things that I assigned us as a task is to look at statewide or Commonwealth-wide e-filing. So the difficulty, and the example we used was Florida. So Florida did it. It took 5 years. Florida did it. So basically the legislature came up with the money and the court came up with the parameters and they hired a third-party company to do it and they did it. And now it's statewide. Great. The difficulty with Virginia is we have constitutionally elected clerks. You can only tell them to do certain things.
Right.
So you have to have a carrot and a stick approach. And so some clerks, like Wise County, Virginia, has been doing e-filing since forever.
Oh, really?
And Wise County's in the middle of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not nowhere. It's somewhere, but
Right.
it's a rural, very far part west of the state. Not a high volume place. But then you've got, Virginia Beach is one of our local courts. Virginia Beach had their own system, and then that's their own, meaning they went to a third party company.
Right. Same as
then that third party went bankrupt.
Oh, okay.
And so they now had to a couple of years ago, they had to move all the stuff back to the state system. So it's just, right now it's a clerk by clerk thing. And until and I'm not sure the way around it. We looked at it, and I will tell you, there's been different legislators that were picking up that. There was a study done 5-6 years ago that there was there had been discussed a study being done.
Okay.
And that got killed in one of the various subcommittees and never made it out of committee. I don't know if we're ever going to because of the way we have our system set up. It's frustrating. As an electronic guy, I can tell you it's very frustrating. We don't. I mean, we're as paperless as you can be, meaning. We bring paper to court because we have to have exhibits and hand out copies to people. And again, if we can't file electronically,
right.
Yeah, we have to mail the paper. We don't ever give opposing counsel copies of, and it's all digital. We don't have filing cabinets here. The only paper we have in our office are original contracts, but otherwise we don't keep paper or anything.
Paper I get, scan it in. Well, I kind of keep it for a bit just in case one of the copies goes bad. So I'll have that.
No, I got you. Well, and then we have backups. We did that back in the day, but now we have a triple redundancy backup system, so I'm not worried about it.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't feed in correctly, it misses page 3 or something.
Oh, no, I got you. Yeah, sure. We just double check. That's part of our operating procedure. Again, we have staff, right? So I've got one receptionist for all 3 of our offices, and part of their job is to scan all incoming mail. And part of their job with that is they scan in the mail, then they have to check the copy to make sure they got every page.
Oh, okay.
So that's just built in. But again, we have the manpower to do it.
Right. And then what area of the law is, I'm trying to phrase this question, is the most, well, let's say which 2 areas? What's the most likely to benefit? What's the most likely to be destroyed or
sure
from technological improvements?
Yeah, so I would say any litigation heavy practice is going to benefit the most. So one of the things we were just talking about,
personal injury is already there. I mean, it's amazing what they're doing.
Sure, because look, one day maybe there'll be androids and robots that'll do it, but until that happens, when you have trials and you have to actually convince a judge or a jury,
right.
That's a human skill. But all the tech and the AI, I was just talking about, for instance, a tool called Yoodli, it's YOODLI. And it's an AI presentation assistant tool where, just using the camera that I'm talking to you right now for this podcast, I can do a presentation and it will in real time analyze my presentation. It'll say, hey, you're talking too fast. You're using too many you're using text. And it's sort of, it's an AI speech coach, right? Well, you can use that for opening and closing statements. You can say, hey, I need to be persuasive. They go, oh, you know what? You're talking at a 12th grade level. You don't want to talk to a 12th grade level for your jury. You want to dumb this down a little bit, or you're using too many technical jargon, or you're talking whatever it is. So I think from a litigation standpoint, it's and for what we do for divorces, for instance, you can analyze text messages, you can analyze account statements. I think the area it's going to impact the most from the standpoint of a livelihood, then I would categorize that as negative. From a standpoint of efficiency, I don't know as a holistic if it's negative, but for instance, wills, trusts, and estates. What it's going to do is it's going to remove drafting contracts. It's going to remove the low level stuff. So what LegalZoom did to the legal world, right? You can just go out and get a lease or a will. We all know that they may not be the best because nobody's tried to personalize it for you. So what it's doing is it's shifting us as lawyers, those that do transaction, and we have that practice here too. We do trust and estates. It's shifting the value we bring from merely the low level drafting forms to advocacy and strategy. So
Right.
where you have to be a successful lawyer in these transactional levels, I would argue you now have to differentiate yourself by showing your expertise and
Hmm.
what value you bring to say, for instance, yeah, look, you can go to LegalZoom or you can use ChatGPT, honestly, and you can do a will that's going to be 98% there. But maybe
Right.
you need a trust, right? Maybe you just don't need a will. You don't know that. Or hey, maybe you need this, you need an exception, or you don't know the tax consequences, or and that's what I bring to as your lawyer.
Right. Special needs trust, something like that.
100%, right?
Right.
You don't know. You don't know what you
So,
don't know. And ChatGPT doesn't either, by the way, because if you're not asking ChatGPT and you're not giving it the right parameters, it has blind spots because it doesn't know it doesn't process language. It's doing data tokens. So I think that's the big
but
difference.
that would be an opportunity for a AI questionnaire. Do you have
Yes.
minor children? Do you have
Yes.
adult children with special needs? If
Yes.
yes, what are the special needs? What arrangements have you made for taking care of them when they're an adult? 10 years, 20 years, 30 when you're dead. So that kind of opens. And then I have a friend who does trusted estate, so we have this debate quite a lot. I think it just opens up the lawyer for more person-to-person time.
Hmm.
Let me gather this information. Let me find out, your child needs a special treatment and it's kind of unpleasant, and how can we make arrangements for someone to do that? And we could write that into the trust that would be we need a medical inspection, every
Yeah.
couple months to make sure your son is being treated correctly. And then the whole face to face, you're now doing that instead of drafting papers,
Oh, right. Of
you know.
course. And
So,
it's not the best use of our time. It's that
right,
strategy, it's the strategic thinking, it's the high level thinking. It's also the as technology and AI it becomes more and more prevalent, the human element and the human connection and quite frankly
right.
some empathy is going to be more important than ever. And so that's really where we're trying to and I tell my lawyers that when we talk strategy just for sales, we talk about so a consultation and this is, I get pushback on this from lawyers all the time. And I'm always like, yeah, but I don't know how you can push back, but the consultation is not for you to tell the potential client how smart you are or
Right.
what a great lawyer you are or anything else. And it's
Mhm.
not really even to give them necessarily legal advice. It's really to make from the get down to it, you have to make them feel comfortable that you're the right person that can handle their legal matter.
Mhm.
They have a legal problem they need solved. That's all they want. And they want to be comfortable with you and they want to know that you can do the job. And obviously you need to be able to do the job. So I try to tell my attorneys when they're doing consultations, I said, look, guys, yes, obviously listen to you want to listen to them and you want to at least do high button things like, hey, I want 100% of all marital property from my spouse.
Right.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for you to tell them that it's most likely not going to happen. You don't have to go in and look at all their doc. I mean, that's not the point is get hired and then go help them. And
Mhm.
that's where AI can really help, right? Is the issue is I'm having this human connection and now you give me all this information that the AI is
Mhm.
going to process, then I can come back and go, oh, here we are.
Or this is part marital, part separate, but in order to prove that, you're going to have to trace the money that
Yeah,
went in, and we don't have that. So you'd
right.
better find it, or otherwise it's all going to be 50-50, recognizing gaps in your evidence, I guess, and then
Sure.
trying to fill that before you're in front of a judge
Right.
being told you have gaps in your evidence,
Right. Yeah.
something.
Yeah. The more, like, we could all use the help for sure.
Mhm. But yeah, I think the more the human element, I'm trying to reassure my friend who does special needs trusts and visits people in their homes and or hospitals and or funeral homes, of the full gamut as to what's coming for him, that he's not going to be put out of business by legal zooms and wills and things like that.
No, and that's where marketing comes into it,
Yeah.
right? So that's the V and motivates visibility, but it's the marketing. Like you need to identify that's where it is. It's hey, with AI and automation, it's going to do the easy work. You're
Right.
hiring me not to draft the will, you're hiring me to ensure that all of your issues are appropriately responded to, and I'm here for you. Like,
Today, a year from now,
right.
when you die, for your widow, for your
Especially with special
grandchildren.
needs trusts,
Right.
you have some sort of disability going on, and that's a lifelong thing. And so, hey, look, I'm here for you. Like if they
I was
change
going to
the
say, and then the
Medicaid
law
rules or they
changes. Yeah.
change the set asides, right? But that's what you're. Hey, that's
Right.
why I'm here.
Right.
And then I would say a good model for that is, and that's again, I think the more you can get away from hourly work, the better, because it
Mhm.
just breeds inefficiencies. And so then you're like, hey, you do a true retainer. You pay me X and I'm on call.
Right.
Are you a subscription? Like one of the things I'm looking at for because my cybersecurity work, I work with companies across all industries to help them protect themselves. I
Mhm.
also do incident response, but that's hourly. I don't like doing that.
Mhm.
But if you have the insurance, that's going to take care of that anyway. But what I'm doing is I'm doing all these plans and planning and putting it together,
Right.
and I'm flat feeing that, and that's
Mhm.
great. But I'm thinking like one of the things that I'm evaluating is how can I do this as a subscription service for
Mhm.
these companies and say, hey, you pay me X a month, and that gets you the annual planning, and it gets you maybe an hour of time with me,
And an
and that way
emergency,
it's
you're there
they
in an
can
emergency.
right they
Yeah.
budget for
Right.
it, they're happy, I'm happy because they don't always need me, and then
Mhm.
it's more effective for me. But
That's whenever I sign up for online software, I always try to go with the higher tier.
yeah,
And my analysis is I'm paying that extra for insurance. There's somebody on the phone that can tell me why, it's not coming out. Well, they're going to answer the phone. It's a if it breaks, there's someone that can help me, reboot or whatever I have to do. It's an insurance policy. First, I'm buying the product, and then I'm
yes,
buying insurance on top of
you're
that.
buying customer service. I mean,
Right.
you're buying the
Mhm.
what I always say too, and it's a good saying, but whenever you're online and there's a free
Right.
version,
Mhm.
understand you're the product.
Right. Right.
Right, that's it. Like ChatGPT free. Well, it's free because they're training on your data, and so I always do the higher level for all those reasons. But also, the features are. So sometimes it's like, well, maybe I'm not going to use all these features, but there's a reason why it's more expensive. So I'm with you. Same, and then the higher tier customer service is important.
Yeah, and I think as things get more complicated, somebody will, well, the only problem you're going to have is, do the people understand your service? As
Right.
things get more complicated, what is it you're going to do now with the
Yeah.
what? The what are those things?
No, that's true. That's part of I mean, that's the hardest part of my cyber is to explain to them what I'm doing and why they need it, because they need it. Every business needs some protection, but
Right.
it's got to figure it out.
And then the analysis of your whole operation, like you said, the meeting once a year and just kind of going over it all,
Sure.
which again is more the human factor, the customer service, even if you're not face to face in your conference room, or in the meeting room with the funeral home with a trust and estates lawyer, having that. Well, what about this? Or, I read about this. How much should I worry about that? And I was reading that the Russians are shooting down Ukrainian drones. Is that technology going to come after my law firm? I mean,
Right. No, I mean,
something like
these
that.
are the questions, right? No, I heard about this gap. Well, you need, oh, do I need insurance? You definitely need cybersecurity insurance, right? Yes.
I have that at Alps. Yep, very good.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, well, very good. I might be contacting you off camera about your coaching program. Definitely going to subscribe to your newsletter.
No,
And
absolutely do that. And I'm, just from I think that my goal right now is June to have the group coaching.
oh, okay, all right.
But yeah, Randall, just give me a call. I'm happy to talk to you about the one-on-one stuff too. Happy to talk about it.
Okay, excellent. Well, very good. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate this time and the information certainly. And like I said, I got good notes and I got a lot to follow up on. I hope my audience does too. So
Well, fantastic. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I always enjoy talking. I mean, like I
I
said, I
will
geek out of this stuff. I love it.
I will see you on Monday.
Yes, fantastic. Good, good. Fantastic.